All right, being 6:33, we'll bring the joint meeting between the New London Common Council and the New London Public Library Museum Board to order. Motion to adopt the agenda.
So
Motion made, seconded by
awesome.
Barrington and Dorsey. All right, moving
Call
along.
order.
We all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now we can move on. Discussion and consider execution and grant agreement for the state of Wisconsin Flexible Facilities Program. Mr. Hurth, would you like to take that over?
Absolutely. So why are we here? So just got a little recap. Everyone should remember that in October, the city was awarded a $3.9 million flexible facilities program grant for the library renovation project. This was awarded through the state DOA. Since then, we've been submitting many different pre-agreement documents to the Wisconsin DOA. Also during that time, if you recall, the council did vote to accept the grant and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement and other documents for the grant. So technically, the council has made a motion to accept it, and the mayor does have that authority. But we've got some things that we want to kind of flush out and just make sure that everybody's aware of it as we move on to the next step. So since that time, we've been submitting all that documentation. We've been waiting on the state to receive our grant agreement to sign to make it the acceptance official. We finally received that grant agreement last week, but it was pointed out that a new statement was added to the draft agreement from what we saw in December. So in December, they gave us a draft agreement. We saw it, we vetted it. Everything looked okay, but when they gave us the final one, they added they added a little statement. So the statement reads, "The funds awarded under this agreement are dependent upon the availability from the funding source, including federal funding sources, and termination of this agreement for lack of available funding shall be without penalty. The department shall have no obligation to reimburse or compensate grantee for expenses due to award funds not being provided by those funding sources. Federal funds under this agreement are provided by the U.S. Department of Treasury Capital Projects Fund Flexible Facilities Program and are subject to the continued availability of the funding from the U.S. Department of Treasury." So not a warm, fuzzy statement that they added into the grant agreement. So when we saw that, I called out to our rep of the state, and I wanted to kind of get some more information. Unfortunately, she said there's much more they can tell. She did confirm that the funds for the Flexible Facilities Grant Program that we were awarded, these are funds from the U.S. Treasury Department, and they're actually in the U.S. Treasury's checkbook yet. They're not with the state. It's basically a pass-through program that once we submit reimbursement requests for our project to the state then sends reimbursement requests to the federal level, and it's a pass-through program. So the funds are not with the state of Wisconsin right now. And this is typical with a lot of programs. The state is a pass-through type agency. She did say, however, that they've had several conversations with the U.S. Treasury about this program in light of the Trump administration's recent activities. The U.S. Treasury told the state to proceed with the program as planned. So the U.S. Treasury has not given any indication that these funds are in jeopardy at this point in time, and they've told the state to proceed as planned. So that's the guidance that the state is still taking to proceed as planned. But I understand, I guess, why the state have done that. The funds aren't coming from them. They're going to put a CYA statement out there, just in case something happens and the funds don't come through. They don't want to be obligated for it. But I want to make it clear that nothing has stated to this point that the funds are in jeopardy, except everything that we've seen what's going on in Washington right now. So I did some homework on the grant just to kind of get some more information for us. So the first thing I did was I went to the Flexible Facilities Program. This is on the state of Wisconsin's website, and it talks about what the program's all about. And there it also does say again that the funds for this program are through the U.S. Department of Treasury Capital Projects Fund. And then it talks about what the objectives for the program was all about. And then it provides the website for the Treasury Department for the Capital Projects website. So clicking on that, we get to the U.S. Department of Treasury website, which really talks about the Capital Projects Fund. This is what's funding this program and many other programs in the state of Wisconsin and nationwide. The Capital Projects Fund is a $10 billion fund, program fund, and it's providing funding to states, local governments, tribal governments, and such. It was put together because of COVID, and their objectives are supporting work, education, health monitoring due to the pandemic, strengthening that, providing more capital funding for, what's it they called it down here? They called it for multi-purpose community facility projects to help communities with, like I said, the work, education, health monitoring, and also broadband infrastructure. They really were pumping money into the nation to help give more access to public broadband and public infrastructure for broadband capability. So these are the objectives of the program. So what is positive in this point about that is, as any of us have seen the news, nothing in this website, what this program is about, and nothing about the state of Wisconsin website talks about DEI, talks about gender equity, talks about green energy, any of those big that are targets for the Trump administration right now. Nothing in this grant that I see are those big items. The other thing that's very interesting is that on the website, if you click on there's a link here that shows who has gotten what in the nation for funding out of this program. And you can kind of see here, for the most part, every state has gotten funding from this program, anywhere from 100 million, and I think California had, $540 million in this program. This fund is hitting a lot of people. It's hitting every single state. This is putting in projects, thousands of projects nationwide.
How much did Wisconsin get?
What's that?
How much did Wisconsin get?
Wisconsin got 180 something, 189 million
Just this year?
from this fund. This fund began, let's see, there were some timelines here. I think it was in 2022. Something showed me. They were doing press releases here. So it looks like in here, they were putting out press releases of what this money was doing as of 2022. So this fund has been out for quite some time. And I'm under the impression that the Flexible Facilities Program in the state of Wisconsin did not pump out 189 million. That Flexible Facilities Program was quite a bit less. I don't even know what that was. I was going to look that up. But the state has been funding other programs in the state with this money as well.
Yeah. The reason why I bring that up is that there's no reason why the state can't back this with the surplus that they have. Just my opinion. I mean, we have a huge surplus. There's no odds are the money's coming from the federal government, but if it doesn't, that would be what you use your surplus for.
Isn't this why this big broadband thing is going on around? Because we're all worried about the federal money. That's why they're digging up all these side roads, putting all this broadband in, because that was all federal money. And they're worried about losing it, so they have to, that's why they're started as early as they did in the winter time.
I'm not familiar exactly what all the programs that the state pumped out with this 189 million, but that could be because the focus of this program from the U.S. Treasury is broadband, health access, all that stuff. So my point to all that was, you've got thousands of these projects nationwide going on right now. They cut the funding to this. You're going to have a lot of upset states and a lot of upset municipalities moving forward.
And like you said, there's no DEI or all the other stuff that they're going after.
This is more infrastructure related programming, not
there's no way they're gonna cut the funding.
Was there an original deadline that they were gonna release the funds?
Pardon?
Was there an original deadline when they were gonna release the funds to the municipalities?
I'm not sure what the deadlines are from the feds to the state, but there are deadlines that we have for our project, the Flexible Facilities Program. There are deadlines that we have to start construction by June or July, and we have to be done. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's in 2026. We have to be done with this program.
So we gotta start working in June, they would release the funds before you start breaking ground, I would imagine, right?
It's reimbursement. So
Oh.
as we get bills from the contractor, we send those payment requests to the state. I don't know if the state's got funding that they just pay us and then they reimburse themselves, or if they wait for the feds. Not sure how that goes, but it's a pass-through program that we get reimbursed. We don't get an upfront lump sum on it. But the point is, because of that nice and warm fuzzy statement that the state put in, we want to make sure that the council and the Library Museum Board is well aware. Yep, I mean, it's not 100%. From my research, from what I've seen, it looks good just because it doesn't have those, those social type things that the administration is going after right now. You all know that, if you've seen the news, that the administration did try to put a freeze on grant funding at the end of January. A judge right off the bat said, no, you can't do that. The administration then turned around and took that order away. And then I think I've seen in the last couple of days, I think the judge in January, the initial one was a temporary hold on Trump's order. And I think they just extended that. The judge extended that hold in the last couple of days. So a lot of things going on, a lot of activity going on. But we want to make sure that the council is well aware of the situation that's going on for the program.
I can just add a couple things.
All you.
So I did follow up on Chad's research. So first, it looks like 115 million went to Wisconsin for this flexible facilities program released on the state website. But I did go look at the list of suspended programs that was issued on the January 28th date that was stayed on January 29th. There was 2,600 programs listed, and this is not on. It's kind of unusual that this one is through the Department of Treasury versus some of the other departments. So the Department of Treasury ones were actually easy to look at because almost all of that was tax kind of things, like suspending an exclusion from income or a deduction, that kind of thing. So it was all more tax related, the suspensions in the Department of Treasury. So I think it's good for us that it's from the Department of Treasury, the Department of Interior or some other agency. It's good for us in that respect. So to me, it looks like an abundance of caution that the state's giving this, since, there was 2,600 programs stayed, and this is not one of those 2,600, whatever it's worth.
So as some of you know, I went to Washington DC for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, representing New London and New London Utilities. I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Tony Weed, our representative. And when I asked him, he said that he has not seen any allocated funding froze yet or pulled. Then I met with Senator Ron Johnson. That was not the case. When that topic was brought up about grants, federal grants, he did say that if your business plan is based off of federal money, change your business plan. Senator Tammy Baldwin, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with her. She had a different view on it. She didn't understand what the grant process was. She wasn't aware of the flexible facilities grant. She opened up her door and was willing to further discuss that once she researched it more. That's what I have to bring back from Washington.
So I guess to be the devil's advocate, what happens if we go through this project and the money gets pulled?
Assuming that's why you're here.
I mean, that's my question too.
All right.
What's the fallback plan? Because first of all, I don't want to see us turn down grant monies because of fear mongering. And that's what I feel like is happening to this whole country right now. That we would turn down $4 million because we're scared we might not get it in 12 months. Additionally, none of us want to see the library project not move forward. So what's the contingency plan if it's not fear mongering?
So This is a page out of our 2023 audit. And you can see at the end of 2023 that city's capacity for debt sits at, let's say in round numbers, $26 million. We're at the third paragraph down where it's general obligation debt. And then right there's the number I'm looking at, Chad, yep. 26 million for, this is statutorily set, so 5% of our value. And that's where we sit at the end of 2023. You don't have our audit done for 2024, and I wanted to show you audited numbers. So we are currently at the end of 2023, we're at about $12.5 million. And then when you look at Moody's and rating and all that kind of stuff, they don't want you to go more than 70% of the $26 million. So if you're looking at almost $4 million, you can see that that sits at 1/3 of what we're sitting at in debt right now. It's a lot of debt for us. It would be detrimental to the city to take on that kind of debt overnight. And it would definitely shut down most of our, what we're moving forward on right now. Not that I don't want to see this, and again, it's just eyes wide open going into what we're going to do. But as you can see, looking at our debt structure, it is a lot of debt for the city of New London to be sitting at. And even in comparison, you can see last year we took out 3.4 million for the downtown. So you're talking larger dollars than we have been putting in the infrastructure for our roads. So that's where you would sit. It would be a general obligation debt to the city of New London. And there would be payments over time, just like any other debt. So it's not like everything comes due at one time. But it would hit the tax roll immediately in that year of debt structure.
Do we have a project funded amount yet, which you're thinking the cost is gonna be?
They're thinking around 5.5, but not before the steel and aluminum era, so it's not set in stone, and nothing is set in stone.
I understand that. I just wanted to,
Yeah,
if we had a,
so we have in the bed right
is that including our 750 or is,
now. No, it's minus your 500,000,
because we gave you 250?
so you gave us 250 million, so it's plus your 500,000.
Okay. Thanks.
We got 2.3.
So we're at 2.3.
I know a while back, we were informed that we invested some money in Edward Jones a while back, and that has grown.
Would you speak up? We can't hear you.
I was just saying that a while back, we were informed that we invested in Edward Jones, and there's some investments out there. I was just wondering if that would be an option to cash out some of those funds to use
You
towards
have
the
to
library.
remember that's our unassigned fund balance. So those dollars count in our unassigned fund balance. So we sit on that in case of emergency. So that would also reduce our bond ratings if we're pulling out our unassigned fund balance, because actually last time we went to debt, one of the discussions was us actually increasing our unassigned fund balance because we have seen our state shared revenue go up. And they like to see them matching in case something would happen at the state level with funding, that we have at least a year in the bank. Also, what happens is we're seeing inflationary dollars increase from year to year. We need more funding because we don't receive a lot of our shared revenue until November of each year. So we're actually borrowing from ourselves until we get to November of each year. So you start depleting those dollars, and we're going to be doing short-term debt more often than not. So it's not an avenue that I would suggest we go down.
That would be pretty,
Sorry, go ahead.
that would be pretty harsh on the state to pull that money when you had communities that actually started and are attempting a project, then just to pull a rug on anything.
think
Like you say, think you guys talked about, that would be an uproar.
And it's nationwide,
Yes,
not just Wisconsin. These funds, I mean, you saw the amounts that these states are getting. There's a lot of projects going on with this funding.
so you would hope that the money's somewhat safe.
Is it possible to go to referendum after the fact?
Yes, it would be
Cause I mean,
to ask
I
the
think we go
taxpayers
forward
to
with it
fund.
if
Yep.
you actually have a reason now, right? Because the federal government pulled the money away. I think the constituents would be more apt to understand that, we had the money, it got jerked away from us from the federal government. Now this is what we need to do.
I think,
I
It's
think
like a
that,
second ditch effort kind of
I
thing.
think that's a good point, Dave.
I mean, I clearly want to go through with this. 'Cause I don't think the money's gonna be gone, but if the money is gone, I think they would understand that we did our due diligence, we did everything, we got the grant. It's not our fault the money got pulled away from us.
Right.
I'd also like to echo what Mr. Steckbauer said, moving forward, we still have time. We're gonna be out, excuse me, we'll be out peanuts compared to what we're actually looking at.
That's what I told you. We didn't say the council.
Oh, you didn't say, oh,
I just
my
told
bad.
you.
No,
So,
I just think, they're not gonna take money. I'm not worried about to take money, but if the off chance they do, and we had to go to referendum to get it paid for, I think that's something that the town folk would understand. I mean, it's either that or you tell them we're not gonna be able to fix another road for 10 years because the federal government pulled this money away and I don't wanna hear about potholes.
each and every day, we're gonna know more as well,
Yeah,
as it gets closer. And as soon as we start getting those bills in, we start submitting them as well.
mhm.
Yeah, if they start paying us back, then you're gonna know the money's safe. I think,
I feel very much like this is, there's a lot of the sky is falling happening. And I don't want to say no to this grant fund because maybe possibly somewhere down the line, somebody's cousin is going to say we can't have these monies. And this library project has been in the works. I don't even know how many years, a decade or better. Yeah, a long time. And it is time for this city to have this project completed. That's just where I'm at. It is time for this to be completed, for us to move forward, for us to be able to have the STEM, to do all the things that everybody's been talking about for 25 years.
It's longer than that, because when we moved into town in 1968, they were talking about building a new library.
And it is time. That's just how I feel about this. It's time. That's where I'm coming from. And I understand the concerns and I'm fiscally very conservative. So that's why I want to know what are our options if it's not just fear mongering. And I love Dave's option that if that's what we have to do, that's fine, but let's move forward.
Have they bid on the thing? The bids are going out when? They're still going out. I thought it was back in January. Things get
We've been,
working on.
we've been waiting on the grant agreement.
Mhm.
And we
Can't do it.
The grant agreement's been kind of, that's official for everything, so we've been kind of waiting on that, but we're ready to go.
so what, sounds like there's kind of a consensus or, so what
We're looking
need
for
to
a
council need
motion
to do
to,
tonight?
we're looking for a motion to move forward as planned
I will make that motion.
with the
Okay.
new wording.
I'll make that motion.
The motion made by Mr. Dorsey,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Croy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we are going to do a roll call vote.
Richie.
Yeah.
Sorry. Barrington,
Yeah.
Esau,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Boucher,
Yes.
Herder,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Dorsey,
Yes.
Yagowski,
Yes.
and Croy.
Yes.
Unanimous.
The motion carries 10-0. All right, nothing else. We can move for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion made and second.